MoistCr1TiKaL situation is getting bad as the debate heats up. There's been a lot of drama surrounding Sneako, especially from about a year ago when Sneako threatened Charlie live on stream by showing explicit content directly to viewers. Let's recap the moments first.
MoistCr1TiKaL, you want to watch my clips? Watch my clips. Watch my clips.
And right after that, the issue went viral. Then Charlie responded to Sneako with this. Just watch this.
What you have there is not clips. These are mags.
Right after that, it became one of the biggest controversies on YouTube. But nowadays, Sneako is back, and it all started with this podcast on YouTube. The video is pretty lengthy, so let me break it down point by point to help you understand what's really going on. But this time, the situation is more serious than before. Penguin has just reignited the debate on Sneako again, and it's about minors. The debate kicked off when Charlie questioned Sneako about his beliefs, specifically asking if a 21-year-old should be allowed to marry a 15-year-old, and you won't believe what he had to say.
I'm talking about your personal beliefs. Do you think someone in their 20s should be able to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
To someone in their 20s should be, I mean, I personally wouldn't do it. I don't know many people who would do it. The maturity for people in the teenagers in the West is getting much worse, but there are...
We're talking globally. Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for, and I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore, anyone, do you think it's okay for anyone in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
A 21-year-old, if there was a marriage where the father consented and the daughter consented, and it was both good on both families and they wanted to do it, why am I going to get involved? Why should we get the government involved?
Well,
why would I tell them if everybody's consenting, if everybody's okay with it, if the parents are okay with it, if nobody's being harmed, if it's going to be okay, if they're both abiding by the rules and they're not hurting each other, why not?
But they're still, like, they're at best a sophomore in high school. They can't consent to something like that. Like, do you...
Yeah, I'm sure you watched the entire clip and understand that Sneako is arguing that if both families are in agreement and there's mutual consent, there shouldn't be any legal issues. He finds the current situation terrible. In short, Sneako is suggesting that a 20-year-old should be able to be with a 15-year-old if both families approve of it. In my opinion, it's time to move on from Sneako's perspective. Let's dive into the next point of the debate and stick around until the end. I've got something to share with you all. Now, right after that, Sneako starts another question, focusing more on the concerns from a minor's perspective especially.
Do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting, as you agree with.
Okay, so as long as everyone...
If your parents are okay with it and you are okay with it, I think that's totally a familial decision to make, yeah.
Okay, so a child can cut their penis off and take hormone blockers and change their biology forever, but they can't get married?
Oh, that's a decision that now extends beyond the family, because now you're bringing in a different party. So if you have someone that's your age coming in saying, I want to marry that child, I don't think that can happen under any circumstance.
So,
no.
But it's still a personal decision. You're still deciding.
Because there's
take the other party out of the equation. It's a personal
decision.
If I'm 16 and I personally want to marry this girl, she's beautiful. She's 21 years old. Her family wants to do it. My family wants to do it. You're saying I can't do that. We're both consenting. I'm ready to go. I'm physically mature, but I'm not allowed to marry because Moist says that woman's a pedophile. But if then the next day I leave it, I'm depressed, I want to cut my penis off, I can go right into the clinic, snip it off, and start taking HRT like Chris Tyson. That's a society that makes sense to you?
It is. I believe everyone has I believe everyone has the right to do with their body what they want.
So, after watching Penguin got caught up in Sneako's trap, it's clear that the discussion levels are one by one. For instance, in the first question, Sneako asked if a 20-year-old wanting to marry a 15-year-old would be acceptable if both families agree. Penguin's response was a firm no. Now, moving on to Sneako's question about whether it's permissible for children or parents to change their gender identity, Sneako said yes. In my opinion, I agree with Sneako's statements on both counts. However, I'm not sure why, but the topic of changing gender identity still feels off to me. That's just my take. What do you all think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. But let's shift gears and move on to the next point in the debate.
And now I give a perspective on something that immediately gets misconstrued, and I do recognize a lot of it's my fault. I assumed that Sneako was talking in hyperbole about a 9-year-old getting their dick cut off, because I didn't have the assumption that anyone thought that is how transitioning works. There is, under no circumstances, any legality behind a kid saying, I want to change genders, and then immediately going in and getting their dick cut off. That doesn't happen. I thought he was just talking in hyperbole. Obviously, no one says that's good. That's not at all what I was fucking saying. I thought he was talking about the overall point of a child transitioning, which is years long process. And you can't even get that fucking surgery legally until you are 18. Like, I didn't think that that was a literal statement he was making. I did not, and I guess I should have assumed that he was being literal, and that's on me.
Now, after watching this clip, I'd say Charlie is spot on. It takes years to transition someone, and when it comes to children, it's even more complicated. If a child wants to transition, both the child and their family need to be fully on board, otherwise, it just won't happen. The situation took a dramatic turn when Penguin Zero, aka Charlie, announced he's quitting the internet after the debate. In his post, he stated that he's stepping away, but Sneako jumped in to humiliate him once again, claiming Charlie never truly left the internet despite previous attacks. Sneako's comments seem like a veiled criticism of Charlie's decision and actions during the debate. Essentially, Charlie is opting for an indefinite hiatus to cut back on his online presence. We all wish him the best and hope everyone respects his decision. The door will always be open for him to drop by and discuss things if he chooses to return. So it looks like Charlie might not be in the best place right now. I totally understand if he wants to spend less time online. This job, in general, can be incredibly taxing from a mental standpoint. I totally get how hard it can be to step away from something that's so lucrative for you and has become a part of your life. But let's be real, it can also get really toxic, especially when diving into more controversial topics. And with you reading the comments every day, you're bound to see people who disagree with you. And yeah, there are folks who hate you for your opinions. So that's all for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Do you think Penguin Zero should take on another debate with Sneako? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Goodbye.